Hi all, this is Skate, and we can't start an SU-152 video without that, or this. Or, when you have a team buddy in trouble, take out that pesky light tank behind him, because, well, accuracy just does not matter to the SU-152. It doesn't even care if you try to angle up against it. In fact, it doesn't even care if you're an equal tiered light tank going full speed between the buildings. It's still going to take you out. I love this tank. Or, what about random surprise tanks? So I'm minding my business, looking there for tanks, and then a random AMX-12T appears, and just freezes in panic, and dies as a result. The SU-152 does not care. It will one-shot your VK3001P. Or, if you're a Cromwell, fairly good armor on one of them things, and you're going full speed. It doesn't matter. That shot is just filthy. I laugh every time at that. Obviously, I am looking at the SU-152 with the stock 152mm gun. Nobody cares about the top 122mm on this thing. Yes, with a gun rammer it will give you over 3,300 DPM at tier 7, and it'll combine that with 175mm of penetration. But nobody cares, because it can't do this. Which... It's hard to take this tank seriously in any shape or form. Now, as I have explained in a recent video, I've been very, very busy and I've barely played Blitz as a result. So Monday this week I picked up my iPad and I thought, what can I play which is just going to be sheer giggles? KV2 came to mind. But the SU-152 is a tank I have not played in a while. So I took it out, and well, these games are the result. I didn't even intend on making an SU-152 video. But being as the footage is there, being as the damn thing's so... That's 3 for 3, by the way. Being as the thing's so damn filthy, being as it's so much fun, let's get some footage out on it. Now, as I mentioned, this is the stock gun on this tank, and this thing has a quite nasty 122mm. But if you're playing with 122mm, which yes, is more reliable, you're doing it wrong. And the reason you're doing it wrong is because this tank is not played for any other reason than the pure giggles and salt and carnage it produces. It's like fitting the 107mm on the KV2. It's sacrilege. It just should not be done. And if you fit a 152mm, some say that Stalin will guide the shell himself to the target. And I've got to admit, I'm a believer. And the reason I'm a believer is because there is no way in hell this thing has the 0.453 accuracy it is proclaimed to have in the garage. That is nonsense, because this thing just makes some absolutely obscene shots. Okay, so from here on out I will attempt to give some informative information rather than make ridiculous comments. And yeah, this tank can be frustrating, especially when you miss a shot. However, I still don't believe that 0.45 accuracy in garage, because, well, it does pull some obscene shots. Now, that last game demonstrates quite nicely the playstyle of the tank. I like to play this thing second line for the first half of the battle, although we weren't really second line much. But if you can see, we did 3,500 damage, and we wasn't running a premium account, and we still made 10,000 credits. And then we move on to this game. I couldn't have asked for a better matchmaker in this tank. I'm the only tier 7 on my team, and on the enemy team there's just one J-Panther. So in effect, take out the J-Panther and there's just tier 6s to play with. And that is pretty much it. It does play with its toys. It's like a cat. You ever seen a cat chasing down a mouse? They don't just kill it, they kind of knock it around a bit. That's exactly the same as what an SU-152 does to tier 6 tanks. Naturally, with it being turretless, there is a risk of it being flanked, which is why I tried to keep hard cover next to me, and you'll see I'm not going head first, I was working the flank. And there is the only enemy tier 7 tank. And he doesn't really have a lot of hit points left. So we've weakened the highest, biggest threat on the enemy team, quite drastically. But spots like this are probably some of the greatest places you can put this tank. Because if you go in head first, yeah, you'll do some damage, and you'll do a lot of splash damage to the front of a tank. But if you can get to a spot like this quickly, you're then working the sides, and sometimes even the rears of heavy tanks and tank destroyers as they go to that location by sea. Or you can one-shot an MT-25 because he comes out trying to finish his clip. If you are in front of an SU-152 and it has a great big 152mm, don't sit there. Run away. Just don't sit in front of it. Just run. You're just going to get mauled. Your best chance is working your way around the flank and doing as much damage as you can to the back of the thing. Or it is just going to derp you right in the face. And if you run calibrated shells on it like I am on this one, you've got 95mm of penetration, which is enough to deal with a lot of tanks frontally, especially lower tier ones. But the best recommendation I would personally make is try and work your way to the side of a normal route. Yeah, that position, technically I went at the start of this match, looks a little bit exposed. However, that being said, it's not really that exposed because I've got hard cover next to me. Oh, there's a Hellcat. You can pretty much guarantee a one-shot on a Hellcat nearly every single time. But I want to reset B first. Which is, like I said, you're almost toying with things. They know you're going to kill them. It's just a case of when. Right, concentrate. Work your way to the side on a flank and you can get some side shots in and you'll do tremendous damage, maximising your DPM. If every single shot penetrated, you're doing over 4,000 damage with that HE. The reality is, though, you're not going to penetrate with every single shot. And this is the point where I realised I am on 6 kills. And he's the last tank. And remember what I was saying about guaranteeing a Hellcat one-shot? Well, I hit the gun, I believe. But I think there's no one else around, which means, well, I am going to secure my 7th kill, which gives me a cheeky little Raseiniai. Watching this footage back, I should have launched from my APs at it, because that pretty much would have guaranteed the kill. And you'll notice, well, if I go through this quickly, we did 3,200 damage. Again, no premium accounts, but 11,000 credits. And obviously we had our Raseiniai and Mastery. But yeah, ammo-wise, I take 12 HE, 8 heat, which is a little bit excessive in all honesty, and I also take 8 AP. Because when you can't penetrate the side of a certain tank because it's slightly angled, Tigers and Panthers are a perfect example of this. You can launch in an AP and pretty much guarantee the kill, which is what I should have done with that Hellcat there. So it's not just about the HE. Yeah, the HE is fantastic, and predominantly that's what you want to fire. But I do carry plenty of AP for that reason. Oh no, my apologies. I carry 6 heat, not 8. You may be needing them for certain tier 8 heavy tanks. Even then, the probability of them penetrating the front of those tier 8 heavy tanks is very, very slim. So you might be worth firing HE at the front of those things. At least that way you're doing plenty of module damage and you have plenty of splash damage. But the trick to the HE, and it is the best trick, is just it's knowledge. It's knowing where to fire and what to fire at. I mean, yeah, you see a tank, something like a Pershing. That Pershing is going to pop up by here. I could fire a HE directly at the front of that thing, but if you notice, as his turret is turned to the side, you can penetrate the side of his turret. Which is what I was aiming for there. Sadly, it did not penetrate. But trying to aim for those spots where you believe you're going to get a full penetrating HE shot is where the magic happens. This Drac, well, you can pretty much penetrate them everywhere. American tanks, if you've got the side of pretty much any American tank, including something like a T-34, a tier above, aim for above the tracks. It will penetrate. If you hit the tracks, you're going to do splash damage, but watch this. Full health T-29. Oh, that's a one-shot. How can anyone say that tank is just not filthy? It just cracks me up. It's just wrong on many, many levels. Now, I mentioned the side of the Pershing turret. We didn't manage to penetrate that area, even though we aimed for it earlier. We're going to attempt the same thing right by here. You can see just next to the mantlet. This time we did manage to penetrate that area, and we did over 760 damage to that guy. So we've got several thousand damage already, and 3 kills. Now there's an IS-6 and a T-44 down there. Remember what I was saying about the accuracy is not what they proclaim in the garage. Watch this shot. Now, I'm going to pre-aim right in the middle. I pulled up a little bit forward so I've got a little bit more height. And you'll see I'm pre-aimed ready. There was a fraction of that guy's turret showing. Shots like that should not happen with this accuracy. Yet they do. And all that's left is the enemy IS-6. Now you can penetrate the butt, the lower plate of an IS-6 with the HE, which is what I'm aiming for. There you can see, you can penetrate it, but I don't manage to penetrate. I still do staggering amounts of damage, and it still sets him on fire. And he's still burning. Oh no, he's not now. Yes, you can penetrate the rear lower plate on these things. If you can't because the angle, well, just go for your AP and you will penetrate the upper and lower rear plate on an IS-6. Or any other Russian heavy for that matter. But we did manage to get the kill and another 300 damage at the end. Which means, in that game, we did 5,110 damage. We had 5 kills, obviously the mastery for that one. Now that was a tier 8 game, but we didn't really have to engage anything. In fact, this is where it's wrong. Nothing shot at me, nothing hit me, and I left that game with full hit points. Honestly, if that's not wrong, I don't know what is. Now with a tank with 0.45 accuracy, you're not meant to be able to snipe like that. Granted, we're not playing and shooting across the entire map, but I genuinely think the key is when something comes into your view and you're not spotted, don't fire the second you see it. If you're with your HE, wait for that opportunity. They don't know where you are, they can't angle up against you, and as a result you can launch a devastating shot into the biggest, softest, squishiest parts of their tank. It maximizes your damage, and it maximizes what you can do with your tank. A small part of me felt bad for that T-29. Full health. The large part of me laughed my head off. But it's genuinely just a fantastic tank. Now, where it differs from a KV-2 is very simplistic, actually. KV-2 has sod all camo value, but it has a turret. This thing has no turret, and it has a good camo value. Well, it has a good camo value until it fires. Once it fires that monstrosity of a gun, well, there goes your camo rating. And that's exactly where and what differs in terms of playstyle, is you can use this to play that sneaker boom. So yeah, this wasn't a serious video really in any shape or form, but the SU-152 is a lot of fun, and I do mean a lot of fun. And if you can take anything from this video, I would say if you're not spotted, wait for that perfect shot. If you're not going to get it, well, just launch it anyway. But if you're not spotted, it gives you the opportunity for them possibly to turn their tank and give you more opportunity of doing more penetrating damage. But yeah, that's it for this one. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.